Vin Diesel. Oh, sure wish I could figure out who keeps setting up my camera and pressing record before I'm ready. Well met. Today I'm going to teach you an advanced technique known as Mantling from the Elder Scrolls universe. I'm going to show you how you can use it to increase your motivation, to achieve your goals, maybe even become a god. No, that wasn't Mantling I was trying to do earlier. That was something else. I'm Mulatto Rants. This is Muscle and Magicka. You, my friend, just accepted a quest. Welcome back to the Order of Muscle and Magicka, where I equip you with weapons and spells necessary to level up not only in game, but in life. If you haven't already, subscribe, join the Order, and ring that resounding bell of Muscle and Magicka so that all future quests show up directly in your quest log. Unfortunately, for the purposes of trying to better understand exactly what Mantling is and how it works, we don't really have that many solid examples to work off of in the Elder Scrolls universe. The strongest cases we do have seem to be 1. The champion of Cyrodiil mantling Sheogorath in the Shivering Isles expansion of Oblivion, and 2. Talos mantling Lorkhan, the Missing God. Now there is a little bit of evidence to suggest that the Tribunal, consisting of Almalexia, Sophasil, and Vivec, may have actually mantled their anticipations, the Daedric princes Boethia, Azura, and Mephala, respectively. Admittedly, though, there are some problems with this theory, and it doesn't seem to fully hold up under scrutiny. But mentioning it here does give me lots more options for B-roll that I can use for the rest of this video. The first thing we need to do is take a trip to Morrowind to find a copy of the book entitled The 36 Lessons of Vivec. I mean, you can read it wherever you want, I just find the experience to be that much more enjoyable when accompanied by the grimaces of everyone around me, as well as liberal application of the N-word. You N-word! In Sermon 32, we find the following passage. 4th, the sage who is not an anvil, a conventional sentence and nothing more, by which I mean dead. The 4th walking way. Now, in case you're not aware, this passage is talking about the walking ways, also known as formulas for reaching heaven via violence. These are essentially methods for achieving apotheosis, or godhood. Now, don't worry if this passage doesn't mean a whole lot to you at first glance. In fact, I think Vec prefers most things that he says to have that effect. Fortunately, we've got an equally esoteric post from Michael Kirkbride definitively linking the term mantling to the 4th walking way, and specifically referring to it as the steps of the dead. Now, it's worth noting that some people have taken Michael's phraseology in this post to mean that actually mantling is not the 4th walking way, but rather that all of the walking ways are different forms of mantling, the 4th of which is simply called the steps of the dead. But frankly, that's poopy and I don't like it, so we're gonna ignore it. What's important for you to understand is that the key principle behind the concept of mantling is to walk like them until they walk like you. In other words, you're basically trying to act like someone else so hard that the universe is eventually tricked into believing that you are the person you've been pretending to be. Now, one of the most powerful and effective motivational tools that you can use, and this applies to any endeavor, not just fitness, is to find someone who's really, really ridiculously good at whatever it is you're trying to get good at, and act like them. Just do the things that they do. Study their behaviors, study their mindset, put yourself in their shoes, and if possible, get their credit card information. I'm joking, I'm not endorsing identity theft. Look, the thing is, I don't want you to exactly imitate anyone. N equals 1. Whoa. What I'm saying is, I don't care who it is. No one else's diet or training plan is gonna be exactly right for you. I've been trying to mantle Vin Diesel for the better part of a decade now, and while this might actually go a long way in explaining my recent hair loss issues, if I were to eat the exact same amount of food that Vin Diesel eats, I'd wind up looking like this version of Vin Diesel instead of this version of Vin Diesel. If I were to train like The Rock, or anyone else who uses a certain type of super potion that's not currently part of my inventory, I would almost certainly break myself, or who knows, maybe I would actually look like I lifted for once in my life. The point is, mantling is less about rote imitation and more about adapting an archetype, assuming an identity. With that said, there does seem to be a certain minimum power level requirement for mantling. In the Elder Scrolls universe, as far as we know, in order to mantle someone or something, they really need to be more powerful than you are, and preferably above you in terms of creational gradients. Now, we don't need to get into what all that means, but suffice it to say, the universe isn't going to notice if you start dressing up like Dave because you want to mess around with his girlfriend. In order for this whole process to be worthwhile, you really need to pick someone worth mantling in the first place. Now, I do realize that going with the Tamrielic model and choosing only gods and other non-mortals kind of limits your selection a little bit. And honestly, there's no reason to assume that the rules for mantling are exactly the same in our universe as they are in the Mundex arena. So I'm going to exercise a little autonomy as Guildmaster and give you permission to go ahead and mantle mortals, if you're into that kind of thing. The important thing is that you find someone who inspires you, someone whose physique or performance inherently makes you want to be better than you are. Now, you can pick someone who you think might be aligned with your frame or your genetic potential, someone within your grasp, or you can specifically set your sights upon someone you think you'll never be able to reach in order to push yourself that much harder. All that really matters is that it be your choice and that it be a deeply personal connection. Because at the end of the day, I can't extrinsically give you motivation. And even if I could, it wouldn't be nearly as powerful as an intrinsic motivation that you give yourself. Look, just promise me you're not gonna mantle Kanye West, okay? The dude is more egomaniacal than Vivec is, and he looks like he's always pouting. He's got this, like, perma-pout. And if there's one thing that I am entirely convinced of, it's the fact that between his attitude and the physical makeup of his mouth, the man is 100% incapable of ever uttering the words, "The will of a Templar is stronger." What I want to know is, who are you gonna mantle? So let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like the video if you want the mantling process to work for you. If you don't like it, you don't get a mantle. Hey, look, I don't make the rules, okay? I just twist them to suit the purposes of my YouTube videos. Speaking of which,
you thought I stopped making YouTube videos, did you?
Move along.